Well, hello and thank you for joining me for another Alex on Tech and TechAdvice.live video interview. We're here at BMC Connect 23 in Melbourne, and I'm joined by April Hickel, the Vice President, Product Management for Mainframe at BMC. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for taking the time. Now, as I said, you're part of the Mainframe team, and while many people watching would be well aware what mainframes are, I'm sure there are some who are wondering, what is a mainframe and why are they still important in 2023? And so can you please give us a refresher and some examples of the businesses that use them?
You're breaking my heart. I mean, the mainframe is really the backbone of the entire digital economy. And so let me give you that refresher. So the mainframe is just a computer, just like all of the other computers you're familiar with, and it runs a specialized operating system, which is called ZOS. So if you're familiar with Unix, it's like a Unix computer, only bigger and higher scale, and it has a longer history, maybe.
Well, I only ask this because, younger people today are familiar with, their laptops, their desktops, their iPads, their iPhones. And so for some people, they've got no idea what a mainframe is. But for people who are a bit older, yes, I mean, this is where computers originally came from. They sat in giant football field size, environments. But now, of course, our smartwatches probably have more power than those early mainframes put together. But that's a long time ago and well in the midst of history. So look, BMC has been doing an annual mainframe survey for 18 years now, and you just announced your latest results. So what are some of the highlights that you can share with us? And I'll have the full report linked to in the article that accompanies this video.
Well, I think some of the results that I'm most excited about are just the general upward trend in positive perception about the mainframe. So, there was a point in time where people were really committed to getting off the mainframe. The narrative was cloud first, cloud only, cloud native. Why do I need a mainframe? And I think that narrative has really shifted, and we saw an acceleration of that shift post-pandemic. So today, if you think about it, 9 out of 10 respondents said, over 90%, said they view the mainframe as a strategic long-term platform for growth. And then you might ask yourself, well, what does management, what does IT, technical leadership think about that? Are they aligned with that or not? And interesting to know that 70% of them have a very positive perception of the mainframe. So I think we've moved from thinking about the mainframe as kind of a legacy, archaic, specialized, isolated platform, maybe like you saw in, the Apollo movies, where as you described it, it was taking up an entire data center, to the recognition that with the explosion of technology, that all technology has its place. And, if you think about, booking a travel reservation, it goes to the mainframe. If you're doing a digital payment transfer, it goes to the mainframe. But that's all cloud inclusive, right? You're not at a terminal like the olden days doing that. You're on your mobile phone, or you're doing it from your watch. You're looking at your boarding pass. But behind that is sort of the workhorse of the mainframe.
And so this is obviously larger businesses, like you were saying, or travel agencies or airlines or banks. They're the ones who are using these computers.
Yeah, the other thing that I found really fascinating about the survey this year is really for the first time we saw move into the top initiative. So what's in the top initiative? Security is always a top initiative, right? People are worried about ransomware. They're worried about internal threats. They're worried about external threats. They're worried about their data. You always see that. You always see people worried about system resilience, etc. But for the first time we saw move into these top results was the idea that, hey, I need to connect my mainframe to the cloud, and I've got specific use cases and reasons why I want that to happen.
So how is BMC bringing the cloud to the mainframe?
Well, we talked to a lot of customers, and there was sort of a universal need that customers had, and I would say actually need. So I would say there's 3 core use cases that we heard over and over again. So the first core use case was, hey, help me understand what is possible with backup and archival of my data. today I'm using virtual tape systems, and that's proprietary mainframe hardware that requires proprietary software. So that's perpetuating my data center footprint for specialized storage. So customers might have a private cloud or a public cloud strategy. They might be looking at S3 storage and saying, hey, that's a very attractive consumption-based price point that gets me out of this hardware ownership situation that I'm in today. So that's one reason we heard customers looking at the cloud. The second thing we heard from customers is, look, how do I unlock the value of data? And, I've got a data lake, I've got a data strategy, I've got to, get new insights from our data. And what's the biggest holder of corporate data? Well, a lot of transactions, a lot of core applications for these large companies are on the mainframe, and so mainframe data. So how do I unlock that data for the purpose of analytics? And then the third thing we heard from customers is, hey, I have new legislation, or I have new compliance, or I have questions about our data security. And so I don't just need one copy of our data, I need an immutable copy of our data. And there are some very attractive cloud services that enable this. So instead of building it myself, can I use some of those? So hearing those things from customers caused us to acquire a company that we announced on June 5th, and we delivered, based on that acquisition, a company called Model 9. We delivered a new portfolio of products under the AIMI brand, which is our mainframe brand, called AIMI Cloud. There are 3 products, and it's really targeted at addressing those use cases. We believe this gives you, as a mainframe customer, the best of both worlds. You can have the power of the mainframe. You're not refactoring or re-engineering or things that are hard and risky, but you're able to take advantage of lower cost infrastructure or services in the cloud.
Now, we heard a lot about ops today, connected digital ops. But how is BMC working to improve and streamline the DevOps experience?
Well, this is also, if you think about the journey that people go on, hey, I want to learn how to connect my infrastructure to the cloud and take advantage of new infrastructure capabilities. This is the same in application development. I mean, the mainframe got a bit of reputation of being the department of no. No change, it's going to be hard, it's going to take us a long time. And I think as the mainframe has moved into its current, role within the organization, where you're building all these digital services on the front end, the mainframe, as a consequence, has had to change. And so people are looking at, how do we move from a sort of traditional waterfall style development to an agile approach? How do we use all of the tools that have proven themselves? And at BMC, we, working with customers, really thought about, what does the developer experience need to be for somebody working on the mainframe? We made the decision to really invest in VS Code capabilities, because that's what everybody coming out of university knows. We looked at having an open ecosystem, so we're connecting not just BMC products to other BMC products, but BMC products to the products that customers want to use as they build out an automated CI/CD pipeline. So we believe being open, being integrated, really helping customers change their process and organization around the way they release software. And we're seeing some amazing results in customers. One customer I met with not long ago went from releasing annually to releasing monthly. We see productivity gains for developers, well above 150%. So really great results if you can adopt that.
Now, as we get towards the end of the interview, I always like to ask a couple of personal questions. And the first is, if you could please share a memory of your first computer.
Well, I'm going to twist that question just a tiny bit.
Sure.
So my first memory that was sort of computer related was when I was in kindergarten, and my dad worked for IBM at the time, and he had brought home a modem which you plugged your phone into. So I don't know if everybody
An
remembers.
acoustic cupola.
Yes. So you plug your phone into that, and I was absolutely fascinated by this. And then one day he took me to work, and he printed out from a mainframe application a calendar, and it was all done on the dot matrix paper, the paper with all of the printing on it.
All the little holes in the side.
The holes in the
Had
side.
all that, yeah.
Yes. And this calendar was like all Snoopy characters, and it was all made by putting numbers on this paper.
Yeah.
And I was just fascinated with computing really since then. So an acoustic coupler plus a Snoopy calendar did me in.
I was going to say acoustic coupler. I mean, it's been a long time since I've said that word. And I asked as soon as it says acoustic coupler, it's like, doesn't sound right. And yes. But that's, I actually came into the world using the 300 baud modem. So I just missed out on the acoustic coupler. But I remember seeing pictures of them, and it's like, I'm glad I missed out on that era. But the 300 baud was a memory, distant memory now.
Well, I could not have come up with the words, so Thank you.
Now, the second last question I would like to always ask is if you could please share some of the best advice you've received in life to help you get where you are today.
Okay, well, I'll give you this advice, share this advice, which I got from my sister on my wedding day, and I think it really can be applied to a lot of things in life. Her advice to me is sometimes you have to decide if it's more important to be right or to be married.
Well, that's good advice. That's good advice, absolutely. So what is your final message to the viewers and the readers?
Well, I think my final message is don't be afraid of the mainframe. The mainframe, it has a bit of a reputation and a perception problem. And so I think that, if you step back and look at the advances in technology and the way that you can integrate and operate the mainframe, you would be shocked. It's not your father's mainframe anymore.
Well, April Hickel, VP of Product Management for Mainframe at BMC, thank you very much for your time. I do hope we can meet again in the future BMC Connect.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you. Bye-bye.